Hey y'all, forgot to put my apron on. Hold on a second. You know I will have it all over me if I don't. And I will possibly have it all over me if I do. I'm gonna try something new today that I haven't tried before. And I saw Sonya at Junk Monkey Paint Company do something similar. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention, just sort of running with the idea. This could be another one of those things where it fails, but it ain't gonna be another one of them things where I don't give it a try. So, as always, if you see the word live up at the top in red, you're catching me live right now. And if you don't see it, then you're catching it on the replay. I would love your hearts and love your shares. That means a lot to me, helps my little business to grow. And now let me show you what we got going on. This is, who knows what this is. This is a funky looking piece of something with some old cherub looking things on the corners of it. It was just too weird not to buy. Got it for $5 at a flea market. Has a couple of drawers. I took this hardware off. Still don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but it was a cream color and looked antiqued, and that's exactly what you would expect something that has a couple of cherubs on it to look like. So when I was trying to decide what in the world to do with it, since it was so unusual, I'm like, why not practice new techniques on it? What the heck? So I used Dixie Belle mermaid tail. Well, first I washed it with, it was filthy, and it stunk like mothballs on the inside. So I'm thinking, it had some numbers written on top in a marker. So I'm thinking that the flea market I got it from probably got it from an auction, who probably got it from like Goodwill or something. But anyways, I used the white lightning cleaner on it, and I put plenty of that like in the drawers as well to kind of hopefully absorb some of the scent that was in there. And then I painted the whole dang thing with this mermaid tail from Dixie Belle. And the thing about the Dixie Belle paints is that they don't require a top coat. They're acrylic based, so if I don't want to wax it, or I don't want to, you know, polyurethane it or whatever afterward, I don't have to. So that's part of what I'm thinking too, is I'm probably going to have this thing for the rest of my life unless I can find somebody else who wants it. So I don't want to spend a tremendous amount of time putting stuff on it. But then I figured, now that I've done made it mermaid tail, what am I going to do? So I'm going to put this peony, which is like a bright pink color, over the top of it. And what I watched Sonya at Junk Monkey do was put some Vaseline. This is not like Vaseline brand, so I'm being bad. Petroleum jelly. Got this at the Dollar Tree a while ago. Put that in the areas. Well, she just put it in some areas on hers. But what I'm going to do right now is probably get it under my fingernails, which is going to creep me out, but I'm gonna put it in areas that I'm gonna wish looked distressed, and I don't understand this, and if I'm walking anything up, well, y'all can laugh at me. So I'm getting just a little bit on my fingers, and I'm gonna put it in the areas where I would distress this if I was putting on like a dark wax or something like that. So the normal areas of where things wear down. So you would distress like the corner of the drawers. So I'm going to put a little there. And from what I understand, because it seems to me like this stuff would get in, and I'm guessing you just need to put a really thin layer, because it seems to me like that this would get on your paintbrush and then get all over the place on here. But I trust Sonya, and she's a pretty smart girl, knows a whole lot about paint, and so I'm going to try it, because what do I have to lose if it doesn't work out? It was nothing, it wasn't a prize to begin with, but I want it to look so funny that somebody's going to fall in love with it. So I'm going to try. So it would have normally, I can see right here from where I had this drawer pushed in, it scratched that paint a little bit. So there would normally be a little bit of wear right here on this piece, because it's sort of rounded in and out. So I'm going to get the corners of the drawer. I'm going to get that. I don't know that I'm going to do very much on this, the decorative elements, if you can see that very well, because I'll probably go back over those with, you know, like some gold or some kind of patina later on anyways. So where else would it wear down? It would wear down in these corners, which are rounded, so I'm going to put some of it there. Get the other side. Not that it has to be even, but that's, you know, those are the areas where somebody would have picked it up. It's a little bit rounded here on front. Same thing as I did on top of the drawer. I'm going to put a little bit there. I just have no idea what to do with these cherubs. I'm going to put some over their knees. The areas that protrude a little bit, I'm going to put some because that's where there would be a little more normal wear. Try to get some all over this girl's face and shoulders here. And there's little decorative elements on the side a little bit. I'm putting this really thin. I'm not putting it very thick because, one, I don't want it to, I don't want it on my paintbrush and then smearing across the whole piece. But I do want to have enough for it to resist the paint. I'm going to get a little bit on this corner edge here. It probably would have wore down there. It would probably wear down right here on this corner. Top and sides. Same thing. I'm going to sort of match that up slightly on this side. And what she did that I was surprised about, because I'm thinking if you put this Vaseline on here, or this petroleum jelly on here, and you paint over it, I'm thinking, you know, definitely it's a resist, and the way that would work would be that the paint wouldn't stick to it, and you would just wipe it off with something like a, you know, a damp rag or something like that. But Sonia used what do you call it, a sanding pad, and I've got one here because I've been sanding on this chair. So I'm gonna go with the, I can't help myself, I'm gonna go back now and put some on these areas anyway, because even if I go over it with something later, it probably would wear right here in the middle of this bottom drawer. I've already taken the hardware off of this drawer. I'm gonna try to figure out a way to pull that out a little bit. Or, well, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm just gonna smear it on the front. We ain't trying to make this complicated. Get the rounded areas. Pop a little bit on the decorative areas. And it would probably have been worn right here in front a little bit. I'm gonna catch a little bit of the corner here in front of the drawer. And just a random spot here and there. May as well get the back corners if I got the front corners. Hope I'm not in the way too much, and there I am. So, putting a little bit here. I'm not putting a lot. I can see where it's at, but I'm, you know, not like filling it up with it. I'm not leaving it thick. I'm just leaving enough of an oily residue. Get a little bit of this corner edge here. We're going to see how this works. Ooh, sorry about that, y'all. I'll turn that back around. Ran into the whole thing. Hi, Danette. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. Back corner a little, edge here, and then I hope I'm not overdoing it. Okay, I think I put some on her face. I don't know if I did already or not. So now what I'm going to do is paint it, and I normally would use my Paint Pixie number 12 because it's bigger. And I know this thing, if it looks anything to y'all like it looks to me up in that thing right there, it looks tiny, but it's not. This is probably more than 18 inches wide, and it's probably 18 inches deep and about 20 inches wide. So it's bigger than it looks in the thing. But my paint pixie number 12, my bigger paint pixie, is at home because we were doing that painting on the our what do you call it, guest bedroom, and I brought it home for my husband to use, which he didn't use anyways, but I forgot to bring it today. So I'm going to use this one. This is my number 8. But I also got this French round out in case I need it to job up in any of those areas. Let me push this in. Got a chip brush just in case. You know, you always want to be prepared with whatever size brush you may end up thinking you need. So we're just going to put it on here. This is such a pretty color. This is when I doubt myself and wonder, am I a little more childish than I should be for, I'm not even a middle-aged woman anymore. I think I'm a senior citizen. I don't know at what age that happens, but you know what? The older I get, the braver I get, and the more I decide it doesn't matter to me if somebody else thinks my colors are too immature for my age or not. Because I'm going to please me with this kind of stuff. I'm just kind of getting it everywhere right now. Normally you would go smoothly from one end to the other, but I'm not wanting to get too much of the petroleum jelly on my brush before I smear it everywhere else on here. And I'm not getting as good a coverage as I had hoped to get. Can y'all still see it real good? Yeah. Had hoped to get with this pink over this teal. So I may end up putting 2 coats. We shall see once I get this done. Okay, now let's go all the way across to give ourselves straight lines. And I think I really don't mind it showing a little bit of that mermaid tail through there, shade true. I may add a 3rd color. I love to learn new techniques, and I am one to generally jump right in there, and I'm thinking if I jumped right in there with this technique on, you know, a big fancy dresser or something like that, and then it, you know, I hadn't perfected it yet and it wasn't what I expected it to be, I would be disappointed. So I figure if I'm going to learn like this anyways, I may as well do it with y'all. I'm going to try to go all the way around this edge a little bit because I don't know if I have any drips around there. And then I'll get the front part to where at least y'all can see the front getting done real good. I think I painted this thing in back for all that matters. Normally with a furniture piece you don't have to paint in back. But since I have no idea what the thing really is and what anybody might do with it, I probably did. I'm gonna leave that. Okay. And on these drawers, when I painted the mermaid tail on there, I painted the top of the drawers and everything as well. But I'm not going to worry about that with this coat because even if it slides out, which I need to probably slide that one out. Let me see if I can do it with this. Because I put some of the Vaseline on the top there. It doesn't matter if it's solid teal, but it kind of does matter because I did put a little bit of that. So there you go. And see, it is rubbing because there's some pink on there. So when your drawer gets stuck back in there and you don't know what to do, you use the screw that came out of the handle, put it in there, lift up and pull. So I'm going to have to leave this out because obviously it's fitting kind of tight to the sides. This is such a pretty color. Is my big old head in the way? I'm gonna dab the French round because that's what it's good at, is getting in these intricate details. Get that a lot quicker this way. Please let this work. If anybody, has anybody else tried this already? Or do you know something you might want to try it on if you haven't yet? I want to, this reminds me, these colors remind me, and the inspiration for this was Katie Clemente. She does a pay what you can class, and I'm hoping that for November the piece that she's going to do in that is this beautiful piece that's done in these colors, and then we can learn what her technique was, because it sure is gorgeous. And I love when people who are so talented share that with us. That's very generous, because you know that is how they make a living, is by painting things for people. Okay, what to do, what to do. I'm going to push that in a little bit. And I guess I'm going to get this bottom area, then I'll try to pull that drawer out a little bit. That ain't going to work. I'm going to have to push that in all the way and then pull it back out, because I got to get up in here. Yeah, I should do that with the paint pixie, with the French round too. Not worrying about getting it in every inch of in there, because part of what this technique is for the some of the teal to still show through, or the mermaid tail. Everybody's teal is a little bit different. When I was a kid, all of them were called turquoise, and then everything was called teal. Now I'm stuck on the teal. Beautiful. It's been one of my favorite colors for my whole life. That and purple. This French round is awesome for getting inside stuff. This has a lot of detail to it. Okay, now I'm going to take my number 8 and make sure all my strokes are going in the same direction. I got to get real good with the pink right there, because I didn't the first time with the mermaid tail. So where's everybody from? Where are you watching from? I am in West Central Louisiana myself, and here it was like 65 degrees this morning when I left the house, and it's in the 80s now, and it's supposed to get to like 69 tonight, but it's supposed to storm for Halloween. Arizona, wow, awesome. Awesome. I've been through Arizona one time. Years ago, I went to New Mexico to a class there at the Ayurvedic Institute in Albuquerque, and I did, you know, a mini road trip out of my time and everything. Anyway, I was driving through Arizona, and the wind was like nothing I had ever experienced. That I had to stop at a gas station to get gas, and the wind was so strong that I could barely hold myself up. It was trying to blow me down while I was pumping gas. I could barely hold myself up to pump gas at the gas pump, and that I had never experienced winds like that. So I don't know if that's a, you know, a common thing, or if there's a windy season, or if I just happened to be there when a storm was brewing. But it was, I'll never forget it, because it nearly blew me down. If this looks silly, y'all can laugh with me, just not at me. How about that? Or you can laugh at me if it makes you feel good. Oh, monsoon season. See, I didn't even know in the States there was such a thing as monsoon season. I thought that was, you know, something that was in, I don't even know where, Indonesia or something. We get hurricane season here, and strange the things that don't have a season, but we get hurricane season, and we're there right now. I'm trying to do the best I can, because it's hard to use this brush and get all the way up there to the edge of where these decorative elements are and still pull out smoothly with the brush. Sorry, I'm wondering if my head's in the way again. I tend to slather on a little bit, get more than I should on my brush, and then spend a little time spreading it out so I don't have to dip so much back in the paint. And these brushes, I don't know if you've used one of these before or not, but they hold so much more paint. For a person who is slightly impatient, which is me, it's a lifesaver. That's why I brought my number 12, my big one, home for my husband to use, because he's about as impatient as me and he hates to paint. I thought that he would want to use that. He was painting some pretty wide, I think it's like a 6-inch wide crown molding, and I thought, man, that, you know, if you would just try this Paint Pixie number 12, you'd be able to get 6 feet with every dip in the paint along the way. But oh, he used his brush that he got at Sherwin-Williams, which was not a good Sherwin-Williams brush. It wasn't a pretty brush or anything. It was just some kind of brush. But it ain't my place to judge. I was just trying to make life easier. I'm hoping that these beginning areas will most of the way dry pretty quick on this, so that I can, and I'll use the blow dryer if I have to. I'm hoping that they will dry pretty quick so that we can do a little bit of sand, and I don't want to gum up the sanding block. there aren't any real much details on the side, so this shouldn't take too long. It's going to take me a little longer with this smaller brush than if I had a bigger brush, but not too long. It's very thick, but I'm not wanting to dip or use any water because I'm not wanting to thin it out because I'm wanting it to dry really fast, and because now I've decided I hope that I don't have to put a second coat on it, because even though the undercolor is showing through, that's part of the appeal of doing it this way. But if it doesn't look good, you know, after we do the sanding and the, you know, removing the resist and seeing how it turns out, then I'll go back in some areas and add more of this peony. Peonies were my mother-in-law's favorite flower. And they are a gorgeous flower, that's for sure. Trying to make sure and get in all the corners really good. And if I wasn't doing this on a live, I definitely would let it dry and put another coat, to tell you the truth. Because what I envisioned was pretty bright with the pink, and this is not going to be so bright, but it may surprise me and turn out better than I anticipated. That's a really good thing that can happen with your projects sometimes too, is you work on them, but then they don't look anything like what you had in your mind before you started them, but they still look good, so you just pretend you intended that the whole time and move on. The corner is rounded here in the back, so I'm trying to come around this edge with my brush strokes. Without dividing them up too much. I do a lot of my projects in my little studio at home. That right now I'm at work, and I do a few up here, and most of the ones I do up here are the ones that are a little more unusual, that I don't want my husband looking at, because he does tend to laugh at me, not with me, whenever I do something in a crazy color. He'd have chunked this thing out to the curb the day I bought it. You'd have seen it. Okay. There's a little bit of a drip. I really need to put another coat. I know I'm in front of you, but there was apparently I hit that with something, and now I'm gobbing paint up on it. Okay, let me get the blow dryer and put my brushes in some water. The blow dryer's right here, not like I gotta go far. And I'll just try to do one portion for y'all that are still with me. Let me get this area a little bit so I can slide those drawers out before they seal shut with the paint. Two of them. Go a little bit more right here first. Try this bottom one. And now, see where I didn't do that earlier? I'll definitely have to do that part. Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, how are you?
How's your daughter doing?
Doing good. Candy should be in there in the other room
How's
somewhere.
Mandy?
She's doing good.
Tell her Shauna said hi.
I'll do it. Okay, this one is where it was stuck here earlier. I'm having a little bit of issue. Let me see if I can. Here's what we're gonna do about this. That left it a little bit rubbed off right there, but I like that. I actually like that a lot. So, Jennifer, I got it at a flea market for $5. It was, I'm guessing, got it like at an auction or something because it had like numbers written on the top of it with a Sharpie, and I have no idea what it's supposed to be. In my mind, somebody's going to have plenty of room on their dresser and use it as I'm just going to use another brush to get this little top piece. And use it as a jewelry box or something. That I just know there's somebody who's going to be into this, and I have no idea who or what they're going to use it for. But I love those stories, and when that happens, when you do something and you're like, "Oh, this is crazy! Ain't nobody going to want this. What am I thinking?" And then somebody walks in the door and says, "Oh my gosh, I love that! I've been looking for that for months." And you're like, I don't know how that happens. Something led me to these colors and to this piece, and it must have been fate. Okay, and I don't know why I have this, because obviously I bought the wrong thing. This is or either I had something else in mind at the time. I'm not going to say I bought the wrong thing. I'll give myself more credit than that. Normally I would want a little bit of a rougher sanding pad on here. This thing must be at least a 220. It's very, very fine. So I'm hoping that it still does what I want it to do. Or I may have one of the Dixie Belle ones in there, but I think they're pretty fine too. But since there is a resist on here with the petroleum jelly, it shouldn't be that hard to do. Y'all ready? Let's go. It's not resisting as much as I wanted it to resist. Oh, it is over here, y'all. It's working. I don't know why you can't just do it with a baby wipe. I'm gonna try it. Look, I did it with, can y'all see that? I'm gonna do this part here. I'm gonna try to bring you a little bit closer. Then I'll probably trip over this thing in a minute. Look here, I'm using just a baby wipe over the, at least on this part, because it's gonna be hard to sand. It's working, yay me. And thank you to Sonia Miller of, yes, it is about the hunt. This place is like right down the road from my house, and it's kind of a new place, and I had never been in there, and I went in there looking, you know, hoping to find a big, you know, French leg dresser, armoire like you've never seen before in your life, so beautiful and perfect for $25 or something. But instead, I came out with this thing, which was highly unusual. And I knew I would have some kind of fun with it for $5, and I don't even know that the lady who sold it to me thought anybody would ever buy it, but she got it from somewhere. So, oh yeah, this is fun. Normally, if you're gonna wet, normally when I'm gonna wet distress, I use DIY paint, because until it has a top coat on it, it's easily distressed with a, you know, a baby wipe or a wet rag or whatever. But with Dixie Belle Paint, because it is acrylic based, you have to get to it pretty quick after you paint it. So this is my first successful wet distress, even though there's a resist under here, and that's part of it, that with the Dixie Belle Paint. And I love, love, love these colors, so it's gonna be a bonus round for me. Can y'all see that very well? Am I getting it close enough? Let me see if I can bend this forward a little. No, I'm gonna pick this thing up in a minute, but I actually think it's stuck to my drop cloth from when I painted it, the mermaid tail. Go ahead and get this off, and then I'll pick that up. I want to get the details off of these two pieces, because I'm going to use the sanding block on the rest. But this was supposed to look antiqued and aged and all those things with the original, you know, tan and cream colors and brown and all that. But it's very fun to me to have to be doing it with the colors that you just don't expect. Let me go, where else did I put it? I put it right here, right? I think. Not as much. Put it here. Okay, so a part, well, here it's coming off here. A part of what has happened, I can tell from that, I'm going to hurry up and do this side because of that, is that it's the wet distressing of the Dixie Belle that's allowing this to come off so fast. Because doing it up top, it's not as easy, and the sanding is giving the look that I want up there. So this is a dual demo here of the wet distressing of the Dixie Belle. This is so much fun. You know how lucky we are as a people to get to do fun stuff like this. Full-grown woman getting to, it's like I'm coloring in preschool. I am having a good time. My kids are liable to roll their eyes at me, but that's okay. That that's okay too, because one day they'll grow up and be weirdos too, whether they like it or not. That tends to happen. The other day, my oldest daughter, she'll be 40 next year, said she was making a really pretty flower arrangement for somebody, and she's like, I didn't get that Terry Jean. And I'm like, it shows up at 40. Everybody's got it. Is when you enjoy what you're doing, it will, when you're having a good time and you quit worrying about perfection, it will come. I'm so pleased. Okay, so everywhere that I put the petroleum jelly, now I'm able to use, on this part of it with the Dixie Belle paint still wet, I'm able to use the baby wipe and get that off. On the top where it's already dried more, the sandpaper is going to be what it takes. And it possibly would have, you know, obviously would have sanded off anyways if we were sanding, but this is, like I said, a very fine sanding block, is coming off better because the petroleum jelly is under those areas. Trying to think of where all I put a little at so that we can hit it. You need me? Okay.
Can I ask on your wife?
You can ask on my wife.
Overactive thyroid, what could they take? Because she's on the prescription and she just don't like it.
I would eat a lot of cruciferous vegetables because they slow down the thyroid, and that would be cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. As far as a peel, I don't know of one. Sometimes they're a little bit low on iodine, but sometimes the iodine would speed the thyroid up, so I would be afraid to recommend that. But I definitely, I mean, lots and raw. If the vegetables are raw, they are that much more apt to slow the thyroid down. So cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, raw. Can't remember where all I put it here. Obviously right there. Can y'all see that? I thought I put more on here, but maybe it was because I did it on the drawer. Yes, ma'am. You can still ask me a question.
Okay, with the exogenous ketones and HMB, I don't know how to explain that to the customer, like how this.
It helps to get you into ketosis faster and keep you in ketosis deeper, and help you not to get out of ketosis as easily.
Okay, so it's not exogenous ketones, but it does help with keto. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it sort of is. I mean, it sort of is. I mean, it's not like taking ketones and you're taking a pill and it's gonna, make you directly go into ketosis. But the more of that you have in your system, the deeper into ketosis you go, and the faster you go into ketosis, and the easier it is to remain in ketosis.
Yes. Yeah. Got it.
Sorry about that, y'all. I'm at work, and I'm a naturopath, so I own a health food store. So sometimes people need me, and I never want to be in here having fun and not help somebody who needs me. It's really rubbing off easy here in the back. paint's still a little bit wet right there. I'll put some like toward the middle. I'm just gonna sand back and forth over the whole thing. Am I in the way? Aha, there definitely must have been, or either that's where the paint was wet, because I just got a glob of it on there. That really doesn't matter how or why, because I want it to show anyway. Here's another area. I remember there being one right here. But if I had used, say, with sandpaper, the higher the grit number, like a 60 is like huge grains of sand. That's really rough. And an 80 is normally the roughest that you would use with a project. And that's if you're really wanting to sand a finish off. And I use a 120 a lot for like scuffing up stuff ahead of time that I want to make sure if it has a slick surface and I'm wanting to make sure that it's gonna take the paint well, I'll probably use a 120. And then a lot of people, when they're doing stuff, I'm hoping that y'all be able to see more on these drawers. A lot of people, whenever they do stuff where they are really wanting something to be more perfect and they're wanting to sand between the coats, a top coat, say you were to put a coat of poly or what would be called gator hide through Dixie Belle, or big top through DIY. Look how easy it's coming off here. Turn this around, because I put a decent amount of the petroleum jelly on that edge. See how easy that's coming off? But anyways, you could use that 220, or they may even make I'm sure they do, but a 300 or something like that to go between coats when you're really wanting to smooth it. A lot of people use a brown paper bag when they're just really trying to. Remember, I put some here and here. How easy that's coming off. In between coats to really, really, really give a smooth finish. That's not me and what I'm all about right now. I'm all about having some fun and moving this out of the way because I'm wanting to have some fun with something else. So I do want it right. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to want to do a bad job on something, but having a smoothest glass finish on top of this whenever I'm done is not a goal of mine. Okay, put a little bit on top of some of these decor here, and where the knobs were going to go on, because I wanted a little bit of the mermaid tail to show there. I'm pushing a little bit harder with my sandpaper now because it's done full of pink paint. Trying to remember everywhere that I put the resist, because I am going to put a top coat on this later. I'm not going to leave it just like this, but I'm going to want all of those. I don't want the petroleum jelly to still be on this surface anywhere whenever I do that. I've got a rag. That's cute, don't you think? See how this one is? It's so streaky through there. Part of me wants to put more of the pink paint through there, and the other part of me says, leave that alone, girl. Leave it alone. And I did put some petroleum jelly in there, and it's coming off real easy in that area. So I went all the way through to the cream color that was underneath it right there. So I'm gonna say at this point that the The petroleum jelly resist was a success. I think I put a little where the knobs go. There you go. Let's see if I can pick this whole thing up. My stomach hurts. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move the camera. Trying to get it off my tripod there. Let me see if I can flip it around. There you go. So obviously we have to put the knobs back on it, and I'm going to do something shiny with those, and we're going to shine up the top, and I'm going to sand on the sides and all that in a minute. But anyway, I would think that using petroleum jelly as a resist under the Dixie Belle paint is something that's successful. I appreciate y'all. If you share this and give me some hearts, it helps my page to go farther and helps out my little business, and I appreciate you. Thank you.